When I was a teenager, I remember clear as day, I was in the living room of my childhood home and I was having a tough moment and I was having a conversation with my dad. And he said to me, honey, you can be anything you want except maybe a model. Hi, my name is Tosca DiMatteo. I'm a fur baby mama. I live in Brooklyn. I'm a corporate whisperer and career coach, and I was born with cleft lip and palate. And so, while that wasn't the first seed of my limiting belief of what it meant to be born with a very visible birth defect, it was certainly one of the many plant seeds that have been planted in my life. But it really comes to even a bigger picture, which was around this idea of not feeling seen, truly seen at my soul level. And that started even younger as a kid when other kids would come up to me and they would see that I looked different and they asked, well, hey, why do you look like that? And I would put on my armor and I would put up my walls and I would very matter of factly say, I was born like that. And I knew that they were going to walk away because I had seen it time and time again. They weren't really interested in getting to know me. They were just curious about why I was different. So, you know, I carried that shit around with me my whole life, you know? I mean, I still carry it with me and it's part of my healing journey, right? And there were some superpowers that came from this experience, and there were some things that didn't serve me. So, for example, I am deeply empathetic and not judgmental, especially around people that are marginalized, people who don't feel like they belong in spaces, because I felt like that most of my life. Um, but I also have a go get it attitude. I'm like, the status quo didn't work for me. So I'm gonna make life work for me, and I'm gonna question things, and I'm gonna get into spaces I don't belong because I want to be there. And you know, I even asked both of my dates to the prom because I wasn't willing to miss out on this life's experiences because I didn't fit the mold. And I also know how to find stories that serve people. Maybe because I had such a hard time finding my own story that served me. And the crappy side is I have always been very hard on myself. Um, I I've gotten very defensive and I internalized everything that was said about me. And in a corporate career, that's not necessarily a great behavior to have because you're always getting feedback about yourself. Um, and I learned I was really bad at being vulnerable because I just wanted to be seen as strong. And while I thought I was really sharing myself, the truth was that I really wasn't. And while I could be a cheerleader to everybody else, I couldn't be a cheerleader to myself because I never thought I was worthy of that. So, what did this all translate into? Well, there's lots of implications, but one of the big ones was staying in relationships or jobs longer than it served me. And I think part of that was because it felt so hard to get into those spaces because of that limiting belief. It translated not to like you're not going to be a model, but to like things are going to be harder for you because of this. It's going to be harder for you to get into the spaces that you want. And so it felt like a slog. And it was a slog, probably because I felt it was going to be a slog. Um, so much so that I stayed in things that didn't serve me was when I worked in an organization and my boss said to me, you really should be more like her, my colleague, who was basically nothing like me. But I still stayed. And then finally, when I decided, okay, this space isn't for me, which basically was driven by my physical manifestations, I had to face other limiting beliefs, like don't leave a job without a job. Like, don't leave it to your husband to take care of, the financial well-being, like all of these limiting beliefs. Quitting means you did something wrong. So then I had to face all of that crap. But I did, and I got out. And I took my power back when I did that. But all of those limiting beliefs that I just shared and will share throughout, they lived in my body. They made life harder than it had to be, you know? And really, it showed up as stress, just stress everywhere. Can you just imagine? But really, these were the invisible barriers. These beliefs were invisible barriers to me loving myself, to me honoring my truth and my knowing when something didn't serve me and that I didn't have to stand for that. I don't know what I wanted, but I know I wanted to feel free. I still do. I still want to feel free, free to be me unapologetically in every single space that I show up. That's why I love the now. I wanted to believe in my own light like I believed in the light of other people. And doing this work, I'm not talking about self-awareness, people. You want to get on the self-awareness bus, that is definitely the first step. I'm talking about getting in the arena. I'm talking about getting dirty. I'm talking about ugly cry like Viola Davis. I'm talking about hard friggin' work of busting through your limiting beliefs that are keeping you small. Now, look, I come from, like I said, marketing and strategy. All I want to do is get her done. Give me the strategy, give me the execution plan. All right, I'll do that, and I'll be okay. A week, I'll be good. I'll get over all that stuff. I'll be me. I'll feel pretty, No, y'all know it doesn't work that way. You're in this room, you know it. And by the way, all of those things are limiting beliefs themselves. To think it has to look that way in terms of healing, to think it can be one and done. And that's, the patriarchy, in my opinion, speaking, because that's how we're taught things are done, linear. This work is not linear. It is a spiral staircase. You just keep hitting the same thing and you keep going deeper, and it does get easier, it does. But woo, Lord, every time I come back around, I'm like, really? This? Really? Are you kidding me? And sometimes it's a labyrinth and you hit the wall. You're like, oh, well, I can't go that way. That's not helping me out, and they gotta turn back around and try something else. But I will say that the impact of getting in the arena and getting dirty has been life-changing. Like, I let love in. I didn't know what that felt like for so freaking long. When somebody says, you're amazing, I would just put up that wall. None of it came in, the good and the bad, right? I see the light more in myself. I've developed a spirituality, a connection that, you know what? I don't have to do it all on my own. Damn, I wish the now was around back then, back in the day when I needed a space to cry or to feel hurt or to know I wasn't alone. Now I'm attracting more of what is for me, not the things that I should be doing. Imagine that. Imagine boundaries instead of walls. There's a difference. I'm learning it. It's a process, but boundaries for those things that do not serve me, but keeping my heart open for those things that do. But the case is not closed on limiting beliefs, y'all. Okay, this is good until the day I die. And every time I go down that spiral staircase, I just remind myself the work never ends. The work never ends. Margot is here. She's been part of my healing journey too. I'm like, really? I thought I was done with that. No, we can't think that way. We just get deeper. We get freer with that. And at the same time, I'm also a friggin' pro. I'm a pro at looking at closets you do not want to look in. I'm a pro at looking at thoughts and behaviors that are not serving you. And that's why I'm a corporate whisperer today, because I want to go into those organizations and show them what's not working, because everybody should be able to fly. Everybody should be seen in the spaces that they show up into. And so this pain is my superpower, and I honor it, and I call people out that need to hear the truth, because I know you don't want to look in that closet, but honey, that is where the freedom is. So if you're wondering, why am I stuck? Why do I keep making the same choices over and again and I'm still not happy? Ask yourself, what closet do you keep stuffing with your feelings? What pain do you run from over and over again because you think it's more painful to look at it than to experience? Well, let me tell you, there is relief in looking at it and letting it go. I thought that wasn't the case for a long time, but now I realize I'm gonna be lighter. I'm gonna be lighter by looking at it. But here's the most important thing to know about limiting beliefs. And maybe already you've been thinking about the list that you have. The truth is, they're not true. And in my case, I can point to a moment last summer where I saw a Sephora ad with a Native American woman with a bilateral cleft lip and palate, and she was a model for that organization. So don't tell me something's not possible. Everything is possible. And that is how I'm going to live my life. Believing in expansion, and that we are too short-sighted as humans to know what's around the bend and what we can do. And the reality is, this invisible barrier was always only mine to bust through. I had to get out of my own way. And that's what I wish for all of you. Thank you so much. It's been an honor to be here.